Students, so this is Pratibha Ramgonda. So today we are going to discuss unit 6, that is mixed signal system. So the topics which we are going to discuss in this slides are your comparator A in your capacity touch sensing, operation of ADC 10, features of ADC 12, and the last concept over here is ADC 10 in temperature sensor. For first is your block diagram of the comparator A. First, before that, let us know what is this comparator A. This comparator will compare your analog voltages at the positive and negative terminals. And if the positive terminal is more than your negative terminal, then we say that the comparator output will be high. So your comparator can be turned on and off by using your comparator on. The comparator should be turned off whenever it is not used, right? Why? Because it can reduce your current consumption, and when it is off, your comparator output will always be low. And whenever your what I can say comparator is on, that time your CA output will be high. So the main features of the comparator A are they are used as inverting in non-inverting input multiplexer. Then they are also used for software selectable RC filter for the comparator output, and output is provided to your timer A capture input, software control of the port input buffer. They are used for interrupt capability, and it can also provide selectable reference voltage generator. Now you can see here block diagram of the comparator. Now the block diagram looks complicated, but we have many options, right? So this comparator A, it is configured with your user software using the peripheral registers. You can see the two peripheral registers, that is CA CTL1 and CA CTL2, right? Now the comparator A can be turned on and off by using CA on button, right? Sorry, CA on bit. Now if it is low means it is off, if it is high in the sense it is on, right? And this non-inverting input V plus is connected to your external signals, that is from CA0 to CA2, or left without any connections, and an internal reference voltage which is also connected to your V plus. Now the inverting terminal, this was about the non-inverting terminal. Now the inverting terminal V minus will be connected to your external signals, that is from CA1 to CA7, or it is also left open. Now this is selected using your P2 CA, that is 3 is to 1, in the form of ratio 3 is to 1, and an internal reference voltage will be connected to your V minus. Okay, and the internal reference voltage, okay, which is known as VCA REF, it can be chosen from your 1/4 VCC or half of your VCC, or you can normally fix voltage from your transistor or a diode. Now this reference voltage will be selected with the help of your CAR CAREFX bits, right? Now the raw output of your comparator, it can optimally filter through your this RC filter, right? This is your RC filter in order to reduce your oscillations in the signal. Now this particular output is brought to your external pin, that is your CA output. Now it is also connected internally in order to capture the input at your CC1B of your timer A, and the flag CAIFB is raised either on falling or rising edge of your comparator output, which will be selected with the CAISE bit. Now this request this can request your interrupt. Now if this CAIE is 1 and your GIE is 1, that time the CAF will be set high. Now setting the CAEX, what happens, your bit will exchange between the two inputs to the comparator, and it will invert output to compensate. Now the two output of the input multiplexer will be shorted together with the help of the CA short bit. So this is all how your comparator works. Next is comparator A in capacitive touch sensing. Now you can see in the figure that This figure is particularly showing a simple capacitive touch sensor where your capacitor is formed by two conducting pads on the top of the on the bottom of the insulating sheet. Now the pads are enlarged tracks on your PCB. Now the board itself will act like a dielectric material between the plates of a capacitor. One pad is connected to the ground and the other will act like a sensor. Now an electric field will be created when you apply voltage between the plates, and because of these field lines they will go from one plate to another, and some of the lines, what happens, they will remain in the insulator, but they will emerge into the air, right, which is shown in the figure. Now when a finger is brought close to the gap between the pads, you can see it in the figure, it will distort the electric field and there will be some changes in the capacitance. This will be detected by making the capacitance a part of your relaxation oscillator, which will measure your frequency variations. Now this relaxation oscillator method will measure electrode capacitance by using your timer, which will establish a fixed window of time during which your electrodes will be oscillating. So this is how your capacitor A in capacitive touch sensing will work. Then we have the operation of ADC10. Okay, this ADC10 module will support you fast. It also gives you 10-bit analog to digital conversions with the successive approximation method, and it is controlled by your ADC10 control 0 and ADC10 CTL1. Now most of the features, what happens is they will help you to enable the conversions bit ENC when it is low, to make sure that your ADC is inactive, right? So what all the blocks it includes in this diagram is, it has one 10-bit ADC core, conversion clock selection, sample select control, there is ADC10 inputs and multiplexers, analog port selection, voltage reference generator, sample and conversion timing, and the last is data transfer control. So let us just glance all the blocks over here. First one, we have 10-bit ADC core. Now this 10-bit ADC core is like a 10-bit SAR core where it will guarantee you a monotonic without missing any codes, right? So means whenever this ADC10 on bit enables will enable the core, and a flag will set to be busy, okay, during your sampling and conversion in this process. Okay, this is why a 10 ADC core is used. Next we will see clock. Now the clock from your ADC10, they can easily be chosen from either from your main clock or sub main clock or auxiliary clock, or there is a modular internal oscillator, that is ADC10 oscillator, right? Now this clock source is chosen from your AD10 select. You can just see the AD10 select. So from that your clock will be selected. Now this must be within the range of 0.45 to 6.3 megahertz, and now the frequency of the clock will be again divided by 2, 3 up to 7, 8 by configuring, right? Now the output of the divider will be labeled as ADC10 clock, and it will feed your both SAR core and it will sample hold the blocks. After that we have sample and hold blocks. You can just see sample and hold blocks. This is your sample and hold blocks. Now this will shown separately in your block diagram, but it is integrated in your 10-bit SAR itself. Okay, it is included in your 10-bit SAR itself. Now the time chosen for your sample and hold circuit with your ADC10 SH which will allow you 4, 8, 16 or 64 cycles of your AD10 clock. Next we have input selection. Now a multiplexer will select the input from your 8 external pins, that is from A0 to A7, right, and 4 internal connections. Now 2 of the internal connections are your optional, okay, whereas external reference voltage, which will share the pin A3 and A4 in many of the devices. Now the two internal connections over here are your A10 to a temperature sensor and this is your A10, which is used for your temperature sensor, and A11, which is given for your VMID. This is your A10 is given for your temperature, and A11 is given for your AMID to monitor your supply voltage. Next we have conversion trigger. Now this conversion can be triggered by setting your AD10SC bit from software, and after completion of the conversion again it is reset automatically. Okay, so this is your input conversion trigger. The next block over here is voltage reference and buffer. Okay, now the internal reference the can be selected by using your REFON bit, right? REFON bit, this is your REFN bit, which where you can select your internal voltage. Now this internal reference generator will be designed for your lower applications, low power applications, and this buffer has selectable speed when you compare it with your power settings. So this internal reference voltage can be used externally also, okay, through your V reference pin by disabling your REFO out, that is your output to be bit. By when you disable this, you can use this V reference as a external source. Now external source again they may be VB plus and VR, or you can use VCC as a reference also. Belong after this also you can use the other two also. Now in this case what happens, if you are using your VCC as reference, in that case internal reference first it should be turned off to save your power, and then to use your external source voltage. Your SREFX bit must first be set. The last over here is your interrupt, right? Now the interrupt flag ADC10 IFG, it should be raised when your result is written to your ADC10 MEM. So this is all about how your operation of ADC10 is carried out. So when we are speaking about ADC, there is ADC10 control register, where you have the structure is present. So where you have like particular bit they are assigned for that, so you can refer that textbook, okay, or the notes which I have given, and you have to the block diagram I have explained, but you people have to study for ADC10 control register also. Make sure you study that. We will see the next one, that is your features of ADC12. So your ADC12, it has maximum conversion rate which is greater than 200 kpbs, and it has a monotonic 12-bit converter with no missing codes. It has sample and hold with programmable sampling periods. The conversions here they can be initiated with the help of software. Either it can be timer A or timer B. Software selectable on chip reference voltage generator. Then the sixth over here is it has 8 individual configurable external input channels. Seventh, selectable conversion clock source. Eighth, it has ADC core and reference voltage which can be powered down separately. Ninth, it has 16-bit conversion result storage registers, and the last over here is conversion channels for internal temperature sensor and external reference. The last part over here is ADC10, how you can use your ADC10 in your temperature sensor. Now to use on-chip temperature sensor, first you should select the analog input channel, right? So there INCX you have to make it as 101. So any other configuration is done as if your external channel was selected, but including your reference section, conversion memory selection, and etc. Now the typical temperature sensor is shown in your figure. When using the temperature sensor, the sample period must always be greater than your 30 microseconds. Now the steps, there are some steps where your MSP 430, every sensor inside ADC10 will be taken. So let us see those steps. So the first step over here is sample and hold source from your timer A. The first step is you have to first sampling your ADC10, that should be triggered continuously by your timer A. Okay, so whatever the sampling you have taken from your ADC10, it should be always triggered continuously by timer A. Second is you have to close the watchdog timer. Third is you have to set your digitally, that is DCO Okay, digitally controlled oscillator as a source of main clock, 1 megahertz, and VLO as a clock. Okay, for this you have to first set your timer a source from main clock, okay, to settle for about 30 microseconds delay, and then you have to set your timer a source from a auxiliary clock. Then you have to select your, or you have to set your ADC configuration. How you can do that? First you have to sample and hold the source from timer A, then you have to check for the temperature sensor channel, then you have to use ideal reference, then after that you have to conversion sequence mode, that is your repeat single channel you have to do. After that you have to enable your ADC10 interrupts. The last step is every second your ADC10 IFG, that is your flag, will be set whenever the conversion results are loaded into ADC10 MEM, and you have to invoke your ADC ISR. So these are the few steps which are taken by the MSP 430, okay, in order to measure the temperature. Thank you, students.